Is there sound now? I had my audio box turned off. So there should be sound now. Let me actually go ahead to the page and test. Of course, it's hard to test with the delay. I just got in from dropping my son off at preschool, so it's kind of like rush in, sit down, hit the start button. Let me see. There should be sound coming out now, but there's such a delay, it's kind of hard to tell. And it probably also helps to move the mic a little bit closer. When I'm doing my recording, I have it further away, but I have it set up a little bit different. So it's going to take a little while to get used to. There we go. I just heard the mic turn on. Let me quickly restart it. I forgot to switch it over to Mac. Oh, excuse me, a little bit of phlegm. But anyway, there we go. We should have sound. And it should be coming through in, well, both speakers now. I had it set to stereo, but of course, you know, the mic only comes through on one channel. So, okay. The layout's a little bit different here for YouTube for me because I have this comment box on the side. It's not very big. I wish they would have gave you a bigger box. So let me go ahead and adjust a bit of this now. Let's see, I guess it scrolls, reverse scrolling. So hello, everyone. We should have sound now. Okay. Just quickly scrolling through. Yeah, great to be back. Okay, so now everything should be okay. I have to adjust, I think, some of the lighting that I have set up here around my desk. Yeah, I'm not sure if the camera, I'm using a DSLR, so I'm not sure, and it's roughly 720p. It's actually doing 1080p, but I compress it down to 720. I'm not really sure. I might just bring it down to 360. It's just me. You don't need me in high def. And I'm not sure if that's why I'm getting a little bit of a delay or not. If it is, then I'd rather, you know, have less delay and less quality. Because it's just me. You don't need to see me in HD. You don't need to see all the stains on my hat. Let's see. For reason. Okay, yeah. I should be in both speakers now, right? There still seems to be about a 3-minute delay between what I say and what I hear. So keep that in mind if I don't answer you right away. So welcome, everyone. Let's see. Looks like we have 13 people watching right now. That's actually pretty cool. The analytics here. It's going to be fun playing around with that. But yeah, I'm back. I guess everyone's seen Unity's keynote going on right now. Well, the keynote was actually a few days ago, but with the event going on, the whole Unity 4.2 is coming out. The mobile platforms are now free. So I recommend going to pick some of that up. Well, I guess you technically don't have to pick it up. It's free. It should just be in the next. If it's not in the next update, if it's not available now, I think it's in the next update, where you can build to iOS, Android for free, which is pretty cool. So I'm probably gonna have a couple small tutorials come out specifically just for touchscreens. Just like simple stuff, you know, like maybe a whack-a-mole game type thing. Just something simple to get you used to working with touchscreens. Yeah, I'm not sure what I can do about that. I did a quick test last night just to make sure that I could actually get video. I could probably run the audio through the camera and take it that way. I'm not 100% sure. It's something I'm gonna have to keep playing with. On my end, it looks fine, but when it goes through YouTube for some reason, it gets out of sync. So it is something I'll have to work on, but I'll probably half the resolution basically. I'm gonna try that with lower. I just might not have enough bandwidth up to do this. I don't know. It's something I'm gonna have to play around with. But anyway, yeah. Since we have free mobile device stuff, I want to start pumping out a few simple examples on mobile devices. Excuse me. A bit of phlegm. My wife got sick last week and then fortunately passed it on to me because she used my toothbrush by accident. Didn't tell me, and well, I ended up using it and getting sick too. Thank you very much, wife. But anyway, yeah, so the hack and slash, it's been so long since I've really worked on it. I find myself every time I sit down to work on it, I'm going back and I'm looking at these scripts that I wrote. You know, like some of these scripts are 3 years old, and I just kind of want to rewrite them. So what I might actually do, since we have Unity 4 now, and there's so many new cool things in Unity 4, is do a real quick reboot where I just sit down and just basically not completely start over, because I still want to use those old scripts, just fix them up, basically spruce them up a bit, make everything more Unity 4 compatible. Well, it's not that I shouldn't say compatible, because everything should work in Unity 4. I have no problem running any of that stuff on my end, but maybe taking advantage more of Unity 4 features. Mechanim is awesome. I love Mechanim. So instead of screwing out with all of our old animation systems and that, those tutorials will still be there. So if you don't want to use Mechanim, you still have, you want to do all your animations, we'll say the old-fashioned way, they're still there. You can still do that. But I'm probably going to be moving on to stuff like Mechanim. And even things like the asset store. Instead of me using all the assets that I really like and that I want in my game, I think it'd be better off, especially now that we have Mechanim, to go on to the asset store and just download free assets from there, because there's a ton of them there. And that way there, everyone has the same assets, so less confusion. Especially if you're using Mechanim, because you can just transfer those animations from model to model. So things like that. That's probably the direction I'm going to be. When am I going to start? Today's Friday. I'd probably like to have maybe some of my earlier iOS games, convert them over to quick tutorials. Like I said, like the Whack-A-Mole games, stuff like that. Very simple stuff to do. Like I said, the asset store full of tons of free assets. And Whack-A-Mole, when I first did that, I just did cubes. But stuff like that, I could probably start getting that out next week. Hack and slash, I'll be gone for the beginning of June. So probably when I get back, that's when I'll start. So the first 2 weeks of June I'll be gone. So probably when I get back there, I'll probably start back up with the hack and slash. And that'll also give me a chance to sit down and go through a lot of my earlier iOS projects and probably convert a few of those to tutorials. But anyway, that's that. Let me go back. Looks like we have a few questions here. We're up to 18 viewers, so welcome everyone. Thanks for showing up. Just catching up on some questions here. I guess I could turn my sound down because I don't need to hear me talk anymore. Oh, the facial recognition box. I can get rid of that, I think. There is a way to get rid of that. Forget how to get rid of it now. There we go. Sorry about that. I had that there just to kind of like frame me up just to see where the autofocus was chasing me. And, but anyway, it's gone now. So let me go ahead. Let's see. So sound is working now. So for the new people that have showed up, how you been? How's everyone doing? Is everyone still enjoying Unity? Yeah, facial recognition box is gone. Basically, this stream is just going to be a quick update. I know I scheduled it from 1 to 2. I'll probably end it early unless there's questions. I just don't have that much to talk about. Could probably move the mic a little bit closer. There we go. Now it's too close. It's creeping me out. Okay. So it sounds a little out of sync with, yeah. That's something I'm going to have to work on. When will I be starting videos again? Like I said, I'm going to try to get some of my earlier ones out starting next week. And the first one will probably be Whack-A-Mole. After that, I'm not really sure. So we'll see. So you have to check the license? Yeah, it's now up. You have to check the licenses. Okay, that's cool that everyone can do it. Well, it's not going to be 300 videos. I could probably redo the whole thing. We're going to cover Mechanim. So that's going to be probably the bulk of it. Like as far as a lot of the other stuff, like character creation and stuff like that. Originally, that's what, 10, 20 tutorials. Probably get that done in 5. Because we're not really going to be rewriting everything. You know, I'm just basically going to sit down, like say take character. Let's take all your character, the scripts attached to your character for all your stats and everything else. Not a whole lot of that's going to change. I'll probably clear a few things up where people have a lot of problems with it. Try to make it. I can't really help you with typos, but as far as the logic goes, make things maybe a little bit simpler. It's probably about all I can really do there. There's a few things I just wanted to change. So yeah, it's not going to be all 300 tutorials all over again. It's going to be much quicker. And like I said, it's just the areas that need to be updated to Unity 4. Like Mechanim. Might as well take advantage. We have it, right? And they're doing so. I can't remember what it was in 4.2. They're doing something else with Mechanim. Something to do with being able to retarget the animations to a character after you've scaled it, stuff like that. So when you customize your character, you can still reapply these animations to it, and it's supposed to apply better. We'll see when it comes out. Hello, everyone. Have I seen Project Eternity? No, I have not. Do you have any idea how to make a 3D environment on a 2D plane from a 2D perspective? I would just do a 3D environment and just have it be a 2.5 perspective. Just move your camera. Like, I'm not really sure what you mean. Do a 3D environment in 2D. Well, you can't because there's, you're missing a dimension. You can't make depth if there's no like z-axis. I've been working on a project. Good to hear. I'm glad you've learned a few things. That's why it was started. We'll be doing some. Small games, yeah, very small games. Like I said, like the little Whack-A-Mole games, stuff like that. I don't want to take on like really big, multi-month projects right now. Well, excuse me. I thought I got that cleared up before we sat down, but anyway, yeah, I won't be taking on anything that's like really going to stretch multiple months. I want to be able to get things done that like a week. So, for instance, at the beginning of June when I'm gone, maybe I can sit down in my free time, actually make all the tutorials then. Then when I come back afterwards, I can, just publish them. And that's another thing, too. With the reboot, I want to do it in more of a modular fashion. So think of when we were doing the day-night cycle, how we kind of like did that whole thing all by itself, and then we just brought it into our game. Something along that lines where it's not something that's just so tied to our game that we can just take it, move it around, keep it as its own asset bundle, basically. So there we go. Everything should be good now. I'm just going to turn my sound up to see what the syncing is like. Yeah, there is a bit of lag, isn't there? That's something I'll have to work on. I'm not exactly sure why that is, because on my end, it looks fine. So I'm not sure if it's YouTube doing it or, like I said, if it's a bandwidth issue. To the best of my knowledge, I don't have any problem with Skype and stuff like that when I do it this way. But anyway, something to work on. So does anyone else have any other questions or anything? I found out that YouTube had given me the live stream ability, so I thought, well, hey, let's go ahead and we'll try it out, see what it's like. And I like it. It's much simpler than what I've seen some other people online when it first came out. I guess the tutorials on how to stream live. I find this much simpler. Now I was a little bit disappointed with the like 3-minute delay, but I'm not going to complain. It apparently is streaming in 720p, and we have 20 people on. So welcome to those 2 new people. It's kind of hard with that 3-minute delay. So my father, yeah, he passed away about a week ago. He had a heart attack. If people have been around long enough, he had a heart attack just before New Year's, and he went to the hospital for it, and he had angioplasty, and he was recovering from it. And while he was in there, they found out that his kidneys were shutting down. So he had to go through, with help for that. And, basically he was recovering from that, and they realized that he had prostate cancer. So they ended up removing about 25% of his prostate, and he actually got through that okay. He actually got back up to solids, and he got moved out of intensive care. He's basically almost ready to ship home, and he ended up having another heart attack, and he didn't make it through that one. So yeah, it's actually been quite a while. He was in the hospital, 4 months, 5 months. So yeah. So I don't think we'll actually lose that much if I degrade the quality by go down to 320p. And to be honest, if I can keep the audio in sync, it'd be worth it. But yeah, I think it does look cool for YouTube. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead, just throw them in there. Are you wearing a Norwegian? Yes, I am. It's a Norway hat. As you can see, I wear this one outside quite a bit as it's faded and stained quite nicely. It's got that used look. So now I'll probably have to change the lighting setup a bit. The one that I have right here to kind of lighten my face up, it's kind of, I just don't like it in my face. We'll figure something out for that. I might just have to get used to it. Let me see. Have you tried the Oculus Rift? No, I have not. It sounds familiar, but I have absolutely no idea what it is. Every time I hear Rift now, I just keep thinking of that game by, was it Tryon, something like that? On the plus side, we got a new TV for down here. So what is Oculus Rift? I guess I'll probably Google it faster than waiting for a response on a 3-minute delay. Might have to try out streaming with Google Plus again to see if it still delays as much. And if I can get this quality through Google Plus, I think I'd rather just use Google Plus. Oculus Rift. Virtual reality headset for 3D gamers. Okay. I have not used it. I'll have to take a look to see if it's... I can see you can pre-order your development kit. Might be something worth checking out. Yeah. Yeah, it actually looks pretty cool. How much is the development kit? Let's take a look here. $300. Yeah, so it's $300 for one. And you get the SDK. Yeah, new orders are expected to ship, so it won't be shipping till August. That actually might be pretty cool. 3D headset. Has anyone played around with it yet? Let's see, just try to catch up here. I'm having a bit of... no ideas for your game, no. It's your game. I have absolutely no idea what you're doing in it, so... turn-based game. No idea. Is it a turn-based racing car game? Have I participated in game jams? No, I have not. I thought about it. What was it? There was a few months back where you were supposed to make like a game a day type thing for the whole month for 30 days. And I had thought of doing something like that. But, you know, since it's mostly just a hobby to me, that I just never got around to it. Plus the whole thing going on with the family, so never really got around to it. So, let me see. Yeah, I kind of like the layout. I didn't realize I had an analytics button here. We're up to 24 people. Welcome, everyone. I can actually see what people are watching in, too. As far as if they're watching in 240, 720, 360, or 480. And the winner is actually 360. Most people are watching in 360, so 720. Very few people are actually watching in 720. So yeah, it looks like it's, you know, dropping down to 360 will not be an issue. Oh, so the Oculus is compatible with Unity. Oh, that's kind of cool. Do you have any... are there any videos or anything like that out there with people have done with it? Of course, it's really hard trying to talk through a 3-minute delay, but yeah, for anyone interested about the live stream, we out of 24 people watching, we have what? 5 people in 720, 12 in 360. So half the people are actually watching in 360. So yeah, I'll probably, the next stream, maybe next week, we'll see. It's really nice to be able to schedule this way, but yeah, actually, it was 25 people now. Hey, welcome. That's it. I'm going to get lost in analytics here if I keep staring at those. So let's go on and back to this here. So see, the Oculus basically not only a headset, but also a pair of goggles. Yeah. Yeah, I seen the picture. They had the guy wearing it. It'll be something definitely interesting to try. It was $300. I'd probably want to actually see some, you know, testimonials or test integration or stuff like that, what people are doing with it before I'd actually go out and take a look at it. I'll go back and read some more later after I pick my son up from preschool. See, you could. I tried doing things like game jams before on the forums. Basically, like we were doing breakout, you know, we make your own breakout game. Not a whole lot of people participated, to be honest. Yeah, so we did breakout first. There may be like 5 people that actually made a breakout game. Then we went on to Frogger, and no one did a Frogger game. So, well, it's interesting. Maybe next time I'll throw prizes up or something like that. So, no, you're welcome for the tutorials. More to come. I look to find a 360. Okay. Well, like I said, most of the people are watching in 360, so I might as well just shrink it down to 360 next time. Actually, I'm not going to bother now. So I could probably do it on the fly, but yeah, if I go down to 360 and it gets rid of the syncing issue, that's fine. That's great. Yeah. Well, I figure most people, especially at this time frame, I'm not going to be getting a whole lot of US people. Like the only other option, I could have one later on in the day for US people, or at least people in the Western Hemisphere. But my son's going to be home and he's going to be like running around, jumping on me. He might be playing a video game in the background or something like that. This is really the only time I get the house to myself where I can actually, come in and be reasonably quiet. You can hear the dogs barking at the mailman, stuff like that. But yeah, generally like it better when I don't have a 4-year-old bouncing around me, jumping in front of the camera, wanting to wave. Especially with the way I have the DSLR set up. I might just go back just using a standard webcam. I just wanted to try this. I have a DSLR, wanted to try using it to stream with, see what it's like. I'll be glad when this is gone too. Multiplayer tutorials, probably, maybe in the fall. Let's see. Actually, there was something about Unity. Oh yeah, that's right, because you can now host a headless version of your game in Linux. So that was something that came out in the keynotes. I think it was the keynotes I seen it in. The keynotes. I guess the keynote is not plural. But anyway, that was one of the things that came out in the keynote, and I was actually pretty excited about that. So that's something I'm definitely going to try out in 4.2. Being able to set up your headless client somewhere to actually play on, maybe. If that works, that could actually be really cool. Have I tried making my own engine? Long time ago, when I first started with game development on iOS, I just got tired of doing some things over and over, so I started creating my own engine. And then I was like, man, I'm by myself. This is just a hobby. I don't want to spend all this time working on an engine. Let's go find one. And I looked around, tried this, tried that. That's when I discovered Unity. And I've had no need to ever even try to create my own engine. I guess technically for personal use, I do kind of create my own engine for things inside of Unity. But yeah, for the most part, Unity does everything you pretty much need. So you like that? I actually thought of making a BurgZerg hat in one of the those online shops, just for sit down and you can have like a BurgZerg arcade hat. But at the same time, it's like, man, the only time I would wear that would be like for live streams, because I highly doubt I'm going to be walking down the street with, BurgZerg arcade pimped out gear. Well, maybe one of these like fleece things I could see putting. Oh, excuse me. See putting like the BurgZerg arcade name or something like that on it. This one here's from the Indianapolis Zoo. We go there quite a bit. I could see something like that, but yeah, I'm probably not going to be making BurgZerg arcade swag. Maybe a cup. Cup would kind of be cool. The DSLR I'm using right now is the Canon T3i. So, and it has the Nifty 50 on it. So it's 1.8. It's actually set at 1.8. I can actually take a look here. I believe I have it at 1.8. Where are the controls for it? It is not at 1.8. It's actually at 5 point aperture. For those who are into cameras, it's actually at 5.6 right now. I really should change that to. I wanted it wide open enough so that if I moved a bit forward and backwards, I wasn't. You didn't get that really narrow depth of field where if I moved like a couple inches, all of a sudden I was all blurry. But I probably could bring that open a bit more and really blur out the background. I just bought a 75-inch TV for downstairs, and I just haven't got rid of the box yet. I haven't even got it wall mounted yet. So you can't really see it. I guess behind that, there's another big box with another TV in it, and then my whiteboard. But yeah, I'll probably bring the aperture down to maybe 2.4, since I've got the spot where I like it. So you have 2.5. Yeah, I give him an iPad, but then he cranks up the volume. He likes watching. Well, he likes YouTube, watching videos on YouTube. So he'll end up sitting on the couch right here and cranking the volume up. Oh, excuse me, I got a little tickle. I just cannot get rid of that. And unfortunately, I don't really have anything to drink except this, and we won't drink that on TV. So you have 2 4-year-olds, yeah. My son has his own iPad now. Great thing about YouTube Stream is it buffers a video, but like I said, I'm getting about a 3-minute delay. Yeah. And I'll have to check just to make sure, but you know, if that 3-minute delay is caused because I just don't have enough up bandwidth, then like I said, dropping down to 360, you're not really going to lose a whole lot. And hopefully it'll fix the audio sync issue. Will I continue Unity tutorials? Like I said, probably next week I'll start them. Probably the end of the next week. So give me about a week. And I'll try to get my Whack-A-Mole one up by then. Like the game's already done. It's just a matter of sitting down, maybe cleaning some of the code up because I haven't touched it in, 3 years. So there's really nothing in Unity 4 that, helps it. So really I'm just going to go through and clean code up that I wrote from 3 years ago. And throw it into 5-episode tutorial or something like that. It's not a whole lot. But as far as the hack and slash tutorials, I talked about it earlier in the video. Probably won't be starting those back up till the middle of June when I get back. Video tutorial to create textures and models. There's tons of YouTube videos already on how to create models. Just if you're new to modeling, go grab Blender. It's free. They'll show you there. As far as creating textures go, that's again, there's tons of tutorials already out there on that. And there go the dogs. Yeah. So they've probably seen someone walking their dog in our front yard, well, past our front yard, and away they go. But yeah, check out YouTube. There's tons of videos already on creating models. I recommend using Blender. You can texture your model in Blender as well. It's a free app. It's great for getting started. It does everything you're going to need, really, as far as game development with Unity. So take a look at those. An actual whole new series. Well, like I said, I'm going to be coming out with small games like Whack-A-Mole and stuff like that. But I'm not planning on a whole anything really big until maybe in the fall. Hoping to get hack and slash done before then. Then we'll sit down in the fall and take a look to see how much time I'm going to have. And just a sec. Oh my god, it moved. It moved. So let me see. It's about 1:37 here. So I have about roughly 30 minutes, a little under 30 minutes. 23. If anyone else has any questions they'd like to ask. Again, welcome to the new people that have showed up. It's actually kind of fun. I'm looking at the stats here. What was see, which is my favorite, the Xbox One or the PS4? If I had to pick one right now with what I've seen, probably, I don't really care for either one of them. I'd probably pick the PS4. I think it had a better tech demo of what it could do. They both look great. No, I have reliable enough internet that always on isn't that big of an issue to me. So it's always going to be connected anyway. I think it's kind of creepy that it's always basically like watching you and listening to you. And what happens if you're talking away and it's like you just happen to inadvertently say something like Xbox off or something like that in a casual conversation into the room, and meanwhile you were sitting there playing at the same time and it turns the Xbox off on you type thing. Uh, I'd like to be able to see to turn that feature off, but the PlayStation, it's been a while. Like I seen the big release event when it came out, and I just remember being more wowed about it back then than I was about the Xbox One now. Uh, like I still use my Wii U, so I really like that second controller. Well, I guess the second display on the controller, I really like that. I find some games kind of integrate it too much. I would love to be able to actually move some of the stuff that's there. Like, you basically have your choice. One of the games I'm playing right now is Lego City Undercover, and they have the map down there, which is kind of cool because you have this huge screen that you get to play on, and while you're driving around, you can look down at the map and look back up and look down. But I find it kind of annoying sometimes when you're trying to weave in and out of traffic, winding road, and you're looking down at the map to see where you got to go, and you look up, all of a sudden you like hit a tree or something like that, and it'd be kind of nice to be able just to move that map up there when you need it, when you don't. But as far as the actual just having that second piece of glass, I really like. And I remember when the Wii U, shortly after it came out, I remember reading something about Unity and the Wii U, some sort of developer. Before I say it, I'll just go back and try to find that post and read it again. But there was something about Unity on the Wii U that I really liked. Maybe a little shooter FPS game. As far as a first-person shooter goes, Unity used to have a demo on their website or tutorial. So it should still be there. And to be honest, a first-person shooter, that's usually what most people create for tutorials. So there's probably a ton of them out there if you just search YouTube. If not, it's not hard to make. Again, I won't be starting any new real games like that until fall. So when fall rolls around, hopefully we'll be done, caught up everything, and then I sit down, take a look, see what's next. Maybe we'll put it up as a poll to see what everyone wants to see next. Unity Asset Store. The visual scripting stuff is good for people who don't know how to program, and there's just certain things that you want to create. You're not going to be able to do everything in them that you want to do. At least I haven't seen one yet that you can do everything in. It's great for setting up, your basic logic type things. But I'd still, like, if you're already halfway, into learning C#, it's not that bad. You don't need to get super complex into C# when you're first learning. Learn your loops, learn your variables, your conditional statements, the basic stuff first, and just build off of that. Especially in C# where everything's a class. Once you learn how to interact with all of them, most of the battle's over then. Of course, as you go along and you start learning more advanced stuff, it's always great because little light bulbs go on. You're like, oh my God. Then you go back and you look at stuff that you did 3 years ago and you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? But like I said, just learn the basics at first. I would stick to actually learning C# because you can do so much more, and I guess more importantly is you can do it the way you want it to be done. Because personally, I never use a visual coder, I guess, whatever you want to call it, myself. But that doesn't mean that they don't have their advantages. It's just, for me, I just rather write it myself. See, Unity asks, okay. So how did I start off in game development? And what were the hardest event I've been doing under game? Okay. Game development? Well, pretty much I've been a programmer for a long time. And I think most people, when they first start off being a programmer, it's because of games. They see a really cool game, they want to, they just want to start coding. They want to create their own games. And from there, you got to pay bills. So from there, you start going into like business software. You got to remember, I started back in the 80s. So from there, you start getting into business type apps, utilities, stuff like that. Now that you can't make a living on game dev, it's just probably a little harder. It's a lot easier now than it was back then. Well, then again, back then it was much easier. Well, it was harder to make a game, but the demands weren't so high. But you didn't have near as many tools. So today you can make, especially with Unity, games so much nicer. But I forget what the original question was. What was it? How to get started. Yep. Like most people, seen a really cool game, wanted to make it, and that led me into programming. Back then, the first language technically I guess the first language was Logo, I think it was called. You had the little mouse and you type in, rotate left 90 degrees, go forward, second, you draw little pretty pictures. Technically, I guess that was the first one. Back then they counted as a language, but after that was Basic. Actually, no. I started on Basic first. That's right, before we got Logo in school. So I had a TRS-80 back then, so I started with that. And then our school got a computer, and they were teaching us Logo, computer programming language. I don't even know if did they still have Logo? I highly doubt it. But anyway, yeah, from there, it just kind of ramped up. I went to an advanced basic package. Actually, no, before that I had C, then advanced basic. Then I think, there's assembly before advanced basic, because I did that on the Commodore 64, and advanced basic was on the Amiga. So, yeah, the Commodore 64 is where I started learning machine language. The Amiga is where I learned A Basic or Advanced Basics, I think is what they called it. Scripting languages, they had AREX. That's also where I started learning C++ at the end. Then after that, we switched over to, I think it was a 286, maybe a 386. Yeah, that's kind of where I started playing in the Windows world. But the rest is history. So let me catch up on some of these. Well, glad you like it. It's not that Unity script is bad. It's just there's so many things later on that you can do in C# that you can't do in Unity script. And I just hate to see people invest all this time into learning Unity script and to find out that, oh, go away. But spend all this time in Unity script learning how to do stuff, and then when they come over to C#, finding out that all the stuff that they've been doing, only, like 70% of it's going to carry over because the way C# does a few things differently. And C# really does give you a little bit more control over how majority of things are done. And it's not really any harder to learn than Unity script because the syntax is almost exactly the same. It's a little more verbose. There's a little more typing involved at the beginning of your script. You've got your using statements. You've actually got to declare stuff in the class in the script itself, where in Unity script you don't. So a little bit more typing. And I think that's what scares people away. Is they look at it like, oh, well, that's way more advanced, and it's really not. It's a little more typing. That's it. But I'd recommend starting with C#. There's a lot more resources on C# than there are in Unity script. They'll tell you it's JavaScript, but it's not JavaScript, okay? But, yeah, if you're just starting out, grab a C# book. I'm not sure what version of C# we're using in Unity right now. If anyone knows, go ahead, post a comment down below, and everyone else rate that up so everyone can see. I think it's 4. Is it not? 4.5? I'd have to actually go ahead and open up Unity and take a look. But yeah, just start C#. Well, there wasn't really less competition back in the old days. Well, yeah, because there was less competition, but it was the market size was much smaller. So if you actually, let's say there was like 1,200 games made back then, and I don't know, let's say there was 2,400 developers or something like that. So basically half the games actually made it to the market. You're probably looking, I guess, at serious game developers now. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that it's not that much different. There's a lot more games out now, but like it's just because it's so easy to make. Everyone's making a game. But if you rule out, if you set your bar to a standard where everything else under this is just utter and complete crap, like get rid of all the fart apps and things like that, and you actually look at the real games. Yes, there's more of them, but the amount of people playing games, I guess, has gone up so much that there's more a larger market, I guess. So I don't think that in itself has changed that much. It's a lot easier. Let's come back. Is there any way to buy the scripts without PayPal? Right now, no. I have been thinking about throwing them up on the asset store, so anyone that can buy stuff through the asset store. I'm not. If you're having problems with PayPal, I know there's ways to get around it, and I can't remember if it's pay with a credit card or something like that. No one's really ever told me, but there's a few countries that PayPal does not support. But I still get orders from those countries. I think they get like international cards or something like that they can use. International preloaded card, and then that way you can actually use PayPal. I'm not sure how they do it. I just know some people have done it. I've asked, asked them to explain it to me, but no one's ever sent that back. But on the little research I did, yeah, it's they use instead of having it come from a bank account or something like that, it comes from a credit card or a debit card or something like that. Let's see. And of course, like I said, I eventually want to get it up on the asset store. I want to get more of it done before I put it up on the asset store. Oh, looks like we had a bunch of stuff just jump by. What's the time? So I've got about another 9 minutes. So I'm going to try to get through some of these. Okay, so I'm glad you're liking them. The tutorials, that is. Thank you. Well, yeah, the using statements, not that bad. You really don't have to touch any of the using statements when you're first starting out. Now, I like to think of the using statements as including a library of functions that you want to use. So if you want to use maybe some of the higher math functions, you'd include the library that had these math functions in them. That's just kind of the way I think about it. But at the beginning, you probably don't even need to add any using statements. Unity's going to add them all for you. Keep scrolling for me now. We get more people. We're up to 30, so welcome everyone. I really like this analytics, but I'll get lost if I keep playing around with that. Let's see. What are the differences between C#, JavaScript, and Unity script? How are they different? So how are they different in control and interaction with the gamer? Well, there is no difference in the interaction with the gamer. It's basically the difference. Okay, let's forget about JavaScript, because in Unity they used Unity script, which was, I guess, originally derived from JavaScript, but then it had stuff added to it, so it's not really JavaScript anymore. But anyway, it's just basically the way when you have this idea of something the way you want it to happen in game type thing. Maybe it's your character movement, the way it calls it. Well, you could do that. It's the way you call animation, just the way you have things. Let's say you have a spaceship, and the controls the way you want it to handle in game. Like that's where the difference between C# and JavaScript or Unity script comes into play. The gamer doesn't know in the back end, but the way you code it could be I wouldn't say drastically different between the two because, like I said, they're pretty much the exact same. It's just with C sharp, there's a little more typing involved, but you get more control, in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure most people who have played around in both worlds will agree. And like I said, there's just so much more resources for learning C sharp than there are Unity script. So catching up here. Well, as far as the 90s having more quality games than the quantity of the games, and as far as I guess we'll say the defined genres, there's always going to be those defined genres. You're always going to see RPG games. You're always going to see the first person, like the classic stereotype for those, the first person shooters. You're going to see those racers because they're defined games that you can, kind of market in. Like let's say first person shooter, you're running some analytics and you find that, next year it looks like, racing games are, set to, boom out. So you're going to go out and grab, the resources you need to make a really good racing game. As far as actually a whole new genre of game, I don't see really that happening. Like, what would be a new genre? Really, I think they've all been discovered. It's kind of mixing and matching them. You see a lot of games, I guess, like the really big ones coming out that actually do really mix and match stuff. Horror games recently have come back maybe in the last, 6 months. You see a lot of horror style games. Excuse me. But as far as more quality in the 90s, well, you had a smaller audience, so your game, if you really wanted them to buy your game, you kind of had to. I don't know. I wouldn't really say there was more quality. Like, there's a reason why people aren't still playing games from the 90s now. Yeah. Let me just try to catch up here. Well, yeah, because you can actually pay the bills fairly competently being, an application developer than you can being a game developer. Like, you could sit down and pour your heart into a game for like 2 years, and you think it's just the greatest thing, and maybe you've shown it out. This is one of the common mistakes. You show it out to all your friends and family, and they tell you it's the greatest game they've ever played. But they're your friends and they're your family. They're always going to be, very supportive. Then you get it out there, and maybe it is the greatest game in the world, but you don't know how to do any marketing or anything like that. So it just fails miserably because you didn't know how to market. No one actually sees the game, so they never buy it. But yeah, application developers generally make more. At least definitely more consistent. Okay. And all this comes down to maybe not necessarily making more, but making enough to get by. Like, let's say you only need $3,000 a month to live. Maybe, your mortgage is low. It's just you and your wife, maybe one kid, maybe she works as well. So, you don't really need to make, $10,000 a month. Because if you make $3,000 a month, you're all living very comfortably. You're still taking your 1 or 2 annual trips a year. The bills are getting paid. You still have that quality life you want. Then by all means, stick to game development. Even though you could be making $10,000 over in application development, I don't really think that always striving just to make money is the best way to do it. I'd rather just do something I enjoy, provided the bills are paid, and everyone in my family has the quality of life that they want. That's much more important to me. Let's see. What else do we have? We have 2 minutes left. Now, I set the stream to end at 2, so I'm not sure if it's just going to automatically cut off or not, or if I actually have to hit the stop button. I guess we'll find out, won't we? But if it does cut off, automatically at 2. You know why. Excuse me. Which is good because I have to get ready to go pick my son up. So let me see. Have I made an RPG optimized for phones and tablets? The little demo we made off the hack. I don't have my phone here, do I? No. It's in the car still. But the hack and slash tutorial, the game that I ended up making off of that, runs perfectly fine on the iPhone. I'm not 100% happy with the controls because I made it the interface as your traditional RPG game. So I had like, even though you can't see them in the corners, there's basically invisible joysticks to move and turn and aim type thing. And then I had, like your typical 10 spell buttons down at the bottom, or I call them ability buttons, that you would click on to perform abilities. And you got your health bar and everything else. And I just didn't like that style of interface for the game itself. I don't like having all these buttons. So what I'd probably do is to change that, definitely get rid of the bar at the bottom. And maybe where you have your thumb joysticks, instead of having them be invisible, actually give them real estate on the screen, but alongside of them, split that 10 button bar up to arcs of buttons, so they're very close to the thumb buttons, because I really didn't like having to lift my finger off and hitting it. So basically, yes, the game worked on iOS, running on an iPhone 4, but I didn't like my UI. The UI had to be changed, so yes, it does work. But I'd sit here and talk about UI all day long. Will I be continuing with the actual 200 to 400? Keep going? No, I'm just going to do the reboot first because, like I said, when I sit down now, I look at this project that I started almost 3 years ago. Yeah, I think it'll be 3 years this fall. And, I think I started around July. Anyway, yeah, I'm sitting down looking at the stuff that I originally wrote in Unity 2 points, whatever, and there's just so many things that I want to change about it. It's there's a lot of systems that could be upgraded to take advantage of Unity 4, and that's the main thing I want to do. So don't think of it as a complete reboot. What I'm going to do is sit down and take the things that Unity 4 has things built into, to make the project easier to understand. I don't want to say necessarily better, but easier to do, and upgrade those to Unity 4 elements. And then there's a few things where people are always getting hung up in with the scripts. I want to kind of clean those up a bit and hopefully make them a little bit easier to understand, and then just continue on with where we're going. So as far as how long is it going to be, I have no idea. Like the beginning of Mechanim, when we first covered that, just get a few basic animations up and running, get our trees done. It shouldn't take that long of a tutorial to do. And then and I want to keep them also very modularized. So let's say I want to come back. So let's say we do Mechanim. We get all our animations done that we wanted to have to start off. Walk, run, jump, fly, whatever. And we get those done. Then we go on and start working on something else. Later on, we decide we'll come back and we want to do more with Mechanim. I can just simply jump over there. So there'll be like a Mechanim, I don't want to say a Mechanim playlist, but like a series. It'll be like, we could be up to like Mechanim, like 5 or something like that. Then we're over here doing stuff. Then we'll come back to like Mechanim 6 type thing. So that they're very modular. You don't need the rest of the tutorials if only thing you're worried about is just getting this stuff done in Mechanim. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, it should make more sense as we go along. Again, the modeling and animating, I said it earlier in the video, there's just so many tutorials on YouTube already for modeling. If you're just learning how to get in to modeling and animation, just go ahead and pick up Blender. It's free. It's going to do everything you need as far as game development goes in Unity. Sure, there's Maya and stuff like that. There are much more advanced packages, much more expensive packages, especially since Blender is free. But for everything you need to get started, Blender is going to do perfectly for you. So go grab that. As far as this one here, he wants to know if a person studies basic computer design in university, is there a way to get into the big game design teams? I assume you're talking about getting into something like, say, BioWare. Uh, well, first, if you have a goal, let's say it is to work for BioWare, I would sit down and definitely make a list of stuff that they look for in programmers. So, for instance, if they do everything in C++, make sure you're really good in C++. There's no point in spending all your time in C Sharp and then you know applying and they're like, yeah, so how's your C++? And you're like, what? So definitely take a look at what they definitely want in you and spend a lot of time honing those skills, but don't neglect the others. Just make sure that you're very proficient in what they want. I generally like people who have a lot of examples to show me and don't have the standard examples that you make in school. Like everyone makes a hangman game, everyone makes some sort of horse race or duck race. All these games that you, or at least the application that you typically make in school, don't just show up with them. You know, like everyone has those. You got to set yourself apart from everyone. And every company is going to be different. So I would sit down and maybe, you know, if you don't want to just focus on one company, take 2 or 3. And, you know, if you're just starting university, make sure you're really focused in on what they want. So that's probably what the best advice I can give that way. It also helps to go to, let's say, meetups and stuff like that where staff is going to be showing up. So let's say they have some sort of game dev meetup. BioWare's in Alberta, I believe. So let's say you happen to live there with them or in that province and they have game dev meetups. Go ahead and show up. Meet up with them. Whoops, something dropped off. I'm not sure if that's because the stream ended or if a bunch of people just left. But anyway, let's try to get the rest of these done. But yeah, getting a foot in the door is obviously very good as well. So you do, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing too with I find the game developer, people who are serious into game development, have a much more hectic life than application developers, people that I know that develop applications for a living. Is the Unity server? No, okay, wait. Okay, the server that's built into Unity, I have not really played with a lot. From my understanding, it's mostly created for kind of like a meeting room, not really for the game itself. Now, you're only looking to use it for 10 people. So maybe, I think that you're better off going over to the networking forums on Unity and checking that out. Now, since you're only doing it for 10 people, Photon has a license that I think it's 50 free. Go over to the Photon site to take a look. It's from Exit Games. But they have probably the most popular server for Unity. And they have a license that I believe it's free. And I think it's 50 or less. Maybe it's 25 or less. But I'm pretty sure it's more than 10. So if you're only looking to host 10 people, take a look at Photon. You don't have to buy Mechanim animations. You can rip animations off of any model you already have. So you could go to the asset store. That's what's so great about Mechanim. You can go to the asset store and let's say they have some troll model you really like. Or, yeah, I said they have the troll model you really like. And you pull it in, but you don't really like the animations on it. So it's got a skeletal rig already set up on it, but you just don't really like the animations. Maybe the guy was a really good model or not a very good animator. Whatever. But let's say you go out and you find some other sort of like very large monster type model in the asset store and you're playing around with it and you're like, man, these animations are great, but I really don't have a use for this, you know, fire golem or whatever the hell it is. But I like the animation. So what you do is you take those animations with Mechanim and you reapply them to your troll that you really liked, and they work fine. And that's the thing that I really like about it. They have actual libraries of animations out there that you can actually get for free. They used to be on the Unity Asset Store. Take a look for the Carnegie Mellon, I can't remember what it's called, animation pack or something like that. I'll have to take a look. But they had literally hundreds of animations, probably thousands to be honest, of animations that are just free. And they're motion capture animations. So they're good, they're fluid, and you just apply them over to whatever models you want. That's why I really like Mechanim. That's why I want to kind of work it into our project. I'm going to have to get going soon. It looks like we're picking back up as far as viewership goes. For some reason, right at 2, we had a huge drop-off. It looks like the stream is still running. Instead of me sitting here just blabbering away, let me actually go check the live page. Because if it's not running, there's no point in answering any more questions, is there? It looks like it is still running, so I'll keep answering a few questions as I do. Oh, excuse me. As I do have a bit more time. So let me keep going up. Okay, so we did the server, we did the animations. Oh, it's just a hobby project? That's fine. I would bet 90% of the stuff that I create, I never plan on ever releasing. Well, maybe not quite that high. 80% maybe. And it's just like silly concepts that I'll come up with that I'll quickly throw into a prototype and then, call some friends up and be like, hey, yeah, go to this web, go to this URL, let's, play this game. And they'll start playing and they'll just be like, you're an idiot. What are you trying this for? But, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it just being a hobby. Especially when you can actually turn around and have that hobby later on, make a little bit of income. And now that the mobile platforms are going to be free with Unity, it's much more feasible, I think, to have this hobby become a moneymaker. Now, you may not make a living on it, but, as long as you know that going in, that it's just a hobby, maybe something you do on weekends, maybe you only, bang out one game a month or something like that. As long as you enjoy doing it, who cares, right? All right, so I'm not seeing any more questions. So I think we're going to go ahead and end this. I'm just going to do a quick refresh just to make sure. Well, there are a few more questions. So I'm going to go ahead and answer these last few questions that I have actually on my screen. And then I'm going to end the stream. So if I don't answer your questions, it's because it's not up in my little comments box. And I apologize. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this next week. I'm going to try to. Again, I'll do it through YouTube. And you'll get the notification through YouTube that there's going to be a live show. So let's keep it like that. Anyway, bring your questions next week. Oh, wow. When I did the refresh, I guess I shouldn't have done that, because now I'm getting the very original questions. Let's see, it doesn't scroll down. Oh, excuse me. Well, no, wait a minute. Yeah, these questions aren't out. Okay. Let me go to the actual live page. Figure out about another 5 minutes, and I'll see if there's any here. And then we'll answer. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 comments. I'm going to do these, and then unfortunately I got to go, but I'll see you next week. Is it possible to add hand-drawn animations into Unity to create a game like that? Like Rayman Originals with... So you want to use hand-drawn animations into Unity? Do you mean like 2D, I'm not really sure what you mean by hand drawn. If you mean like an animation following the pencil and stuff like that, I don't remember Rayman Origins. I haven't played it. So as far as hand drawn animations, if you actually want to see, basically, like the lead coming off the pencil on a piece of paper while you're doing stuff, yes, you can do that in Unity. I'm not sure how I'd really go about it. Part of me wants to use a line render. Well, you'd be using get and set pixel. That might be one way to do it. Take a look into that. It's pretty slow last time I checked. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a way to do that if that's what you're looking for, is to make it look like you're writing or drawing on the screen. Actually, wait, no, I did an Etch-a-Sketch program a while back. I'll have to take a look. I think I did actually use get and set to control where the changing of the pixels. So it might be not as slow as I remember. But yes, you can do it if that's what you're looking for. Let's see. Thank you. Glad to be back. Yeah, comparing the tools that were available back, 10, even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, like Unity's been around, I think, well, more than 5, hasn't it? I can't remember when Unity first started, but even just going back 5 years ago, just looking at maybe not so much the number of tools, although that has greatly increased, just the quality of the tools. It's just so much easier now. Like, I don't want to say you need less and less knowledge to make a game now. It's just the people with that have that knowledge are just better armed. Yeah, it's definitely a much easier time now as far as the tools go. Now, as far as the whole Unity is great, but it won't get you a job at BioWare, C++ will. There's some game studios that if you are very good at Unity, it will get you a job because they use Unity. So, yeah, it's good to know C++, but like I said, take a look at that company you want to work for. And if they're a Unity house and they're doing, make sure you can use Unity. Even if you're not going to be a programmer, you can get in there and you can just be something like a level designer. Maybe you're just really good at, I don't know, maybe the configurations or something like that. Yeah, take a look at the company you want to work for and what they want you to know. You're just starting to learn Unity now. Well, welcome to the group. I really like Unity. I haven't had a chance to use it a lot this year yet, but probably starting middle of June, I'm kind of hoping to really jump in. I just finished downloading updates a couple of weeks ago for it. But anyway, that's it for this live show. Let me see. It looks like we still have people on. There's still 21 people on. So anyway, thanks everyone for showing up. I'm going to try to have one of these again, like I said, next week. Same time, same channel. And I'm going to be doing it through YouTube again. I'm going to try to get the syncing worked out a little bit better. Probably will be 360p. But yeah, I'm going to try to have it next week. And I'll let you know through the, broadcast. It'll show up in your stream on YouTube. But anyway, thanks for showing up, everyone, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.